the chance to turn that fortune around. As much as we've critiqued them, they had this moment against WE as well, where it's like, oh, you didn't look good, you dropped a game, and honestly, I'm a bit concerned about this. They ended up winning that series. They were generally fine throughout the third and final game there that ended up really being the decider, and so maybe that ends up happening for FPX, and while I still don't think that would change my mind about everything, they need to do that, and if they come out here and dominate, you know, there is at least that to go off of, but quite a few big champions banned. I think we were talking about the top lane pool. It's worth noting Mbessa and Gwen, both off the board. Two of the more consistent top laners are not going to be available, but Pantheon is available. This is something we've seen banned out really consistently. However, received some nerfs and isn't quite considered to be the pick it was even just a patch ago. So we will see.
Yeah, and this is a champion that teams have struggled to really execute on, Kman. We saw it earlier today, right? Like, we saw the worst Pantheon to Leah combo I think that we have seen in the LPL. It was real bad. We'll see if FPX, the Group Ascend team known as FPX, have the ability to really turn it around, and if Milky Way on this Pantheon can macro his team to great side lane plays, Game 3 win.
Yeah, I think it's all going to be about what you supplement it with. No Talia available, but you do have a lot of the other big macro threats up. Things like Ryze and Galio are very much still available. I would expect that to be prioritized here, but it's the Rakan picked up for Kael. A huge pick for him throughout his entire career, even going back to the LCK days, and it's Tarzan Xin Zhao. This is really what I was looking for in Game 3 from anyone's Legend. Just get back to basics. Start playing the stuff that you know you're good at. This is aggressive. This kind of holds the game in your hands, and I really like that from this team.
Gauntlet has been thrown. All right, you can get your jungler as long as I get mine. Let's see what FPX pair this Pantheon with. Looks like we're going to see, okay, we're going to see a Xayah and a Renata come through. I like the Renata here.
Yeah, Xayah, kind of the takeaway generally from the other side. You don't want to give over Xayah Rakan. That definitely is what Hope was angling for, I would imagine, with this comp, but Xayah Renata can still be scary, and you called it out correctly. Renata is a bit underplayed in terms of just the kind of effect she can have on the map as a whole. We've seen her kind of utilized as a pair. I think she can be very useful in her own right, but it's Flandre's Renekton that's actually going to be coming out here. You know, very interested to see that be kind of the gauntlet thrown down here, because while FPX supplement their skirmish-heavy, you know, macro-oriented jungler with, you know, late-game conditions with things like Xayah and, you know, even Renata who can help out in team fights, it's AL who double down and say, well, we're drafting Renekton on the top side. We want to fight early, and we want to win.
Just need to see what we have in the second half of bans here. We have 3 melees on the side of anyone's Legend, so you know, look for champions like Galio would be really good here.
Yeah.
You know, Yanni has not been fearless away in this series against these low-range champions. Will do really good things. We see the Ziggs getting banned out. I actually very much like that ban. We've started to see Knight play that. It's kind of caught on a little bit in popularity, or at least in the back of the minds of the coaches, knowing that this is an available pick that can still be flexed if you really want to.
A lot of things that you have to worry about here for both of these teams, because even in Fearless, like, the later you get, it almost becomes more scary what you let through in the second phase, because this is the time where it's like, well, the top picks are already gone. The stuff that you know the enemy team likes are gone, and so you're just hoping and praying that your dart that you throw lands on whatever the third or fourth choice is for the enemy team, and, you know, that can be kind of interesting to talk about, but it is the Yanni that's taken away. Pretty common combo option for the Xin Zhao. Again, you know, there are a lot of, you know, teamfight-oriented champions that are available if you want to try and make sure that the Renekton doesn't fully commit you into that direction. If you wanted to fight more in the early game, plenty of options available for that as well if you wanted to be aggressive, but it's all really just what Shanks wants to lock in. It will be the Orianna, you know, a big team fight problem, we'll just say, for FPX. Ways to kind of deal with the Orianna, I would say, on the other side. This isn't one of those, you know, Omega picks that just instantly wins you the mid lane matchup, but certainly something that I like pairing with the Xin Zhao.
Yeah, and, you know, a Rakan is also a really good ball delivery system. Sometimes you can just find the ultimates on your own here, and especially with the way that FPX is going to be kind of split, right? Sometimes you'll have the opportunity to ball the back line or ball the front line, and given the fact that you've got triple melee balling the front line, sometimes it's just going to be the easiest thing, making life super easy on the side of FPX. We're going to see a Jax lock in here. I'm very curious, Kman. It doesn't seem like it would be a good idea. But I do wonder if there's a world where this Jax goes into the jungle and we see Pantheon in the top lane. I don't think it's going to happen, but I think it's interesting to explore that as Silas is our final pick.
I honestly don't hate the idea. I think you put yourself in a pretty decent situation, like, from level 1. In the top lane where Pantheon is just really solid into Renekton. I worry a bit about the Jax being exploitable in the jungle if you want to play really aggro, but, you know, I doubt it's going to happen. You know, it just doesn't really seem like this would be the direction that Sheer in particular would want to go in, but we'll be the Jhin as the final lock-in here for Hope, rounding out the comp for AL, I should say.
Trade!
I will say this about the AL draft, which, you know, it's very standard. A lot of champions you've seen for many years in pro play, a very normal comp. While this is not a very strong comp in the late game, and I think I am concerned about what they're going to look like, there are a couple of lane matchups here that I think are terrifying, all things considered, for FPX. Like, you are scared of this Renekton, and honestly, you're scared of this Orianna being able to generate a lead, because that makes it very terrifying moving forward. I think this is going to be a big game for Kael on the Sylas, and if he's going to be able to actually step up, and especially if JiaQi and Jwei are going to be strong down on the bot side, that's going to be the avenue for success, because I think eventually you hit a breakpoint where Jax and Xayah are hard to deal with.
Yeah, as long as Shanks does not misposition and get caught by an abscond abduct before he gets his first rank of his E, he should be in good shape. But if you get caught by that early and really even thereafter, Silas does do a lot of damage. Orianna is really fragile. This is a lane matchup that if you're not careful and you get snuck up on, or you get engaged on, take a bad trade, it's going to be a bad trade. It's going to be a rough time. Kman, you're getting ready to get into this game. If I am FPX, we're hitting level 6. We're fighting every single objective we can see. We got Renata. We're going to go steal this Rakan ultimate. We're going to go steal an Orianna ultimate. You know, we're going to flash in Sombrero. We're going to do Rakan things on Silas. And we're going to get into this final game.
Yeah, we had some.
Why was Bro rubbing his thunderstick like that?
You know, you never know what happens at an LPL match. But, as for the setups, I guess, early in the game here, that's probably my job, is to talk about that. And in fact, I might not have time as Milky Way runs into Tarzan, but just going to be a bit of an exchange of damage. Milky Way going to walk up to place the ward. Pretty aggressive from him considering how that went down, but it'll just be a trade of wards. Neither of these teams really want to try and make too much happen.
You can't take the bad trade. You can't take the bad trade, Shanks. Okay, wait a minute. This is actually
I actually think this is a pretty good trade for Shanks.
Actually, it actually isn't, because once Kael hits level 2 and you get access to that Kingslayer, you are able to heal up, right? So you don't necessarily need to burn any potions. Any damage that you get down on Orianna early, as long as you're not really far behind in terms of health, is pretty good in this matchup.
I think that that's, for the most part, true. I think that there are plenty of ways for Shanks to be able to delay that and just be more useful throughout the mid-game as well. True. So we will see how it ends up going down. As an Orianna player myself, I actually quite like the Sylas matchup, but that might just be a personal thing, because Sylas players are not always the most patient in the world.
That's really funny, because I play a ton of Orianna too, and I absolutely detest it. Because I always get caught with an abscond abduct at least once.
Yes, if you definitely, if you're getting destroyed by those abilities, it can be quite difficult. But Shanks should be able to at least trade out with the range advantage here. We'll see what Kael actually wants to do early on, because I think there is the chance for him to be really aggressive with some of the plays that he wants to make around the map. If he just wants to isolate himself in the 2v2, I think that's also fine. There's not really a problem with Jhin getting priority in this lane, but you never can be too sure about what a Rakan might want to do. Looking at the jungle pathing, though, we do see Xin Zhao, of course, on the Raptors, and it will be matched by Milky Way on the bottom side here, at the very least for now. So, pretty standard starts for both teams.
Yeah, and depending on where this wave kind of stands, got a minion advantage on the side of Sheer, which means as long as Flandre can hold it here, Tarzan could make an early move up top. Now, Sheer did ward that Tri-Brush, so he's very well aware. I do wonder if there's a world where Milky Way is able to do something on the bottom side. We see a lot of health pings down there. We see a little bit of a trade up top. As Flandre getting the better of Sheer just a bit here.
Yeah, I mean, you can expect that in the Renekton matchup. Very difficult for Jax to be able to trade this effectively when his cooldowns are not quite there yet. Tarzan is actually going to be the one here on top side. They do spot this out on a ward, so Sheer will be safe, but, you know, it's nice pressure coming in from Tarzan, and this makes life very difficult for the Jax, who is just going to be rather behind in terms of this lane. Pretty even in terms of CS, though, so well done by Sheer at the very least in the early stage. We'll see how that ends up changing, but, you know, standard stuff. Level 4s have been completed, and crabs are taken, and everybody is exactly where they should be.
Yeah, pretty much, and nice slow game so far for FPX, given the fact that there's nothing too crazy that's happened, and yes, it's the first 4 minutes, but you know, Sheer was already down a flash by, you know, the first minute of the game, right? And anything that you can do to allow this FPX team to get to level 6 on their champions without any issues is going to be really, really good for them, right? We talked about these objective fights and how you can see some really big plays come out from Jwei and Kael with the stolen ultimate.
Playmaking is definitely there. The potential for plays is absolutely available. It's really just about which ones they're going to pull the trigger on. Milky Way had the potential for plays last game, and he ended up blast coding in and killing himself at Dragon. So it's not really so much about the plays you can make, it's about the ones you do make. So we will see which ones they end up committing to, at the very least in this game. Definitely going to be keeping my eyes on JiaQi on this Xayah. He was super important in game 1, and he did get a lead in game 2, just wasn't really able to hang on to it as the Corki. That cleanse was not going to be useful enough in every single fight to avoid all the CC, so he's going to be able to, you know, maybe position a tad bit better, have a little bit more going for him in the later part of the game here on the Xayah. We could potentially see that advantage that he's been generating pretty consistently actually come into play here.
Okay, Sheer goes back in for that, wow. Oh man, I admire the cojones on that guy. That is so close, knife's edge type stuff right there. But Flandre will be able to get this full wave in. I mean, Sheer on the teleport back is going to lose a couple of minions here. Flandre also being level 6, carving out a very small CS advantage for himself.
No surprises just yet. I do want to give some credit to Shanks. Like I said, he should be able to generate some advantage for himself. It's about a 200 gold lead, but anticipated. Play bot lane.
Yep, double knockup is there. Hope's got a 4th shot in the back pocket. Gonna dump that onto JiaQi. So he's taking below half HP.
Yeah, the Jwei flash coming out there to potentially look for something very aggressive. Doesn't end up landing. It does burn Hope's flash as well, though, so definitely a positive trade for FPX. You would much rather lose the Summoner Spellbook flash on your support than the flash on your immobile AD carry in Jhin. We'll see if that's going to be exploitable. Like we said, we saw Milky Way kind of on the bot side here. Dragon has spawned, and so that can definitely be the idea for FPX if they want to go for it, but Shockwave just used to push the wave and move around.
Really?
Yeah, this is actually a really shocking stat for me. I would not have expected this to be Milky Way's first ever Pantheon game, but I guess it wasn't as relevant last year. And he really was playing a majority of games, and it's been banned for most of this year as well.
Yeah,
so.
That's true. You know what? Yeah, I didn't really think about that, Kman. That is very interesting, though. Thank you, Rod, for the worthwhile lower third. So far in his first Pantheon game, he has made no impact. He is also not level 6 yet, so that's okay.
Yeah, it's a free dragon, all for the most part, for FPX, and especially with that pressure generated on the bot side, you feel pretty good about that. We'll see if the dragon stacking actually comes to fruition in this game, because last game it was just a bait. The dragon really existed.
Hey, this time it started early.
Yes, this time it exists and is something that you can play for, as we see Kael teleport into the mid lane here. Grubs are coming up soon, though, 45 seconds on that objective spawn. AL do have a gold lead here because of the advantages in the solo lanes from both Shanks and Flandre. That should give them a bit of an advantage if they do want to try and fight this. Pretty difficult for Sylas to be able to walk up for free in these exchanges. He does have the ultimate available, so we will have to see how this goes. But at least for now, that shove in the mid lane is in favor of the Orianna. And with Kael here in particular, even with Jwei trying to cover, should be relatively easy for AL to get that tempo going.
Yeah, and Kael just needs to make sure he doesn't take any really bad trades here, right? Because you're not really going to get too many opportunities to Kingslayer yourself up on HP, and you don't have a teleport. Sheer and Flandre are going to go after each other for a little bit as the Jhin trap. Probably surprising Sheer at least a little bit there. The Grubs have now spawned. Still have 2 members strong in the mid lane, mids and supports on both sides, just hanging out, helping the respective laners survive the current moment.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Sheer jumping in to go for a trade, but pretty standard stuff from the Jax Renekton matchup. Right now, all of the attention is going to be on which jungler wants to be more aggressive in this situation, because I think it's worth pointing out that there's not really a true frontliner on either side. We've seen Sion and Ornn and a lot of these big tanks throughout the series. Poppy, and you don't have one of those here, so we will see how easy it is for one team to be able to control area. Right now, looks like FPX is just pushed out of the pit. It looks like Milky Way happy to give this over, and it will be AL that is taking the grubs. They already have a bit of a gold lead. That's just going to compound here. Nice roam up, like you called out, from Flandre. But Sheer will get some plates on the bottom side to at least equalize some of the gold.
Yeah, not bad. Flandre didn't have the teleport here, but, with the grubs all going over to the side of AL, I mean, the good news is it's a really good takeaway. You give a little bit of power to Flandre. Orianna doesn't really utilize them the greatest. She's fine when it comes to a side lane, but, if you see somebody in the area, you generally want to run away. But the takeaway from these FPX solo laners is really the big thing when it comes to securing those grubs. So good on AL there. 2 minutes and 20 seconds until the next dragon, as we are still awaiting Milky Way to use his first Grand Skyfall, as he has been level 7 for a little bit. It would be his first career one. Thinking about it, Kman.
Yes. No, it would be. It's a big deal. It's a big one to get out of the way. So we'll see which one he ends up burning it on. Right now, we do see a bit of tempo, at least on the crab on the bot side river. Shanks and Kael once again just going for a bit of a trade. Really difficult at this point for Sylas to trade effectively because he's just going to lose so much health in a lot of these exchanges, and so he has to be so careful anytime he pushes up. Shanks is going to have full priority of this lane basically for the rest of the game. So we will see how that ends up going. Rakan's going to make his way mid lane. One thing I really want to point out, Yanni, look at your minimap. Look at the ward coverage on the bottom side. That's a lot of vision for anyone's legend. That is a lot of priority. We'll see how they use it.
They can see why kids love the great taste of Cinnamon Toast Crunch. They have that much vision right now, and knowing every move that FPX are going to make it makes it a lot harder for Milky Way to actually even get the ultimate off, right? Because if you get an idea that hey, they might have vision here, it's like, oh well, maybe I shouldn't make a play down there, and we are still waiting. He is now level 8. There hasn't really been too many opportunities on side lanes, given the fact that all of the turrets are still up right now. You would expect that to be a little bit more of a factor. It does surprise me that teams don't really index into focusing down a turret and forcing people in a side lane so Pantheon can ult.
Yeah, I think that a lot of good teams would maybe prioritize getting this Pantheon active. I think teams maybe that aren't quite as familiar are a little bit more hesitant to try to make egregious plays like that, because I think that they can be very exploitable.
What makes you think that Milky Way's not familiar?
I wonder what would lead me to believe that Milky Way might not be as familiar with Pantheon, but could be a play bot lane here. We do see Milky Way hovering the area, but this is just an impossible play to make. Not only do they have full vision of him, but they're fully safe.
They're playing with mad packs on right now, man. It's ridiculous. And guess what? You put a pink down. Yeah, we got some of their vision. Oh, we got more of their vision. Bro, you didn't get any of their vision. This dragon is up. FPX are hovering around near where Otacon spawns, as Hope is going to go pick up this wave. Kael is going to start up the dragon. See if Tarzan goes and follows on, and he is going to pull it out, and the dragon will lose its patience with him.
Once again, it is a stalemate. It is both teams staring off at each other, hoping the other makes some sort of error that they can capitalize on, neither wanting to be the one to pull the trigger here. Jwei is stepping up to contest the ward at the very least, but Dragon being on the table is pretty important for FPX. That does seem like a pretty easy out for them going into the later part of the game with things like Jax and Xayah and even Sylas, having a ton of damage available. It could be a nice way to force some fights in close quarter areas where they can take advantage of some of their abilities. But right now, looks like it is just going to be given over to anyone's legend. The contest maybe not coming down. Pink's coming in, though. That Grand Starfall is available.
I would love for a fight to be forced, but unfortunately it will just be the dragon and split at 1 apiece right now.
Yes. Unfortunately, no fight.
All right, 2 minutes. 2 minutes and it's Rift Herald, all right? You know what? This is where the fight's going to be. I expected FPX to want to fight by this point, right? Again, we talk about Care going to steal some of these high-impact ultimates, right? And we have Jwei with the hostile takeover. And yet, we just see FPX just really unwilling to even give that a shot.
I think, yeah,
Dude,
you know, I think
honestly,
we're all feeling it a little bit right now.
Listen, I am God's eepiest kitten right now, man. I woke up for work at 1 p.m. Eastern time yesterday, so I'm getting dangerously close to the 24-hour mark.
I think, unfortunately for you, Yanni, the reason that these fights are not happening is the CS difference in the jungle right now in favor of Tarzan. This makes it quite difficult for the Pantheon to feel comfortable jumping into a scenario where he's just going to be down in resources. They both do have completed items available, so, you know, hopefully this ends up being, you know, something that they end up, you know, pulling the trigger on. But I would actually argue as well that AL really also need to pull the trigger. This is not just a team comp that perfectly scales into the late game. Yes, Orianna's scary, and you have the ball delivery system. This is Xin Zhao Renekton, and you're not fighting at all in the early game. This is something that I think also can be a bit scary and negative for anyone's legend the longer this goes in the same vein. So this neutral game state, I don't know if it favors either of these two teams.
Well, you've got a Silas and you've got a Jax, and I think these are the strongest late game champions in this game. I think Jin's pretty up there for late game strength. You know, as an Orianna player yourself, you know that late game Orianna, while it does a lot of damage, it's so reliant on, like, if you're hitting a good ultimate, right? And if you're at that point in the game, there's a lot of pressure. So I'd say that FPX probably has the edge in scaling a little bit here. We have 10 seconds until this Rift Herald, right? So we'll probably have another 30 seconds before we actually fight for this. Hang on.
Sheer.
Wait a minute. We're seeing things happen. Sheer tries to hop away. He flashes, but Tarzan's in hot pursuit. They're going to knock him up. Sheer's going to go down. Here comes Milky Way, but he's a little too late, and he's going to get chased down now. Wind becomes late and tagged on him, but Jwei will be there to back him up. It is a 15-minute first blood for AL.
We finally strike. We finally get first blood on the board. It is for Flandre on this Renekton, which could be very good for this team moving forward. Having the Crocodile get a little bit more gold into these exchanges could be useful for him surviving just a tad bit longer in the back end of these fights. But I expected a counterplay to happen somewhere on the map for FPX. Instead, Milky Way just wants to go ahead and go to try and turn the play. At this point, could be walking into a trap.
Oh, Milky Way tagged to half. That's an interesting interaction, and Milky Way's on the wrong side of things. He's going to have to flash away. Hostile takeover. Doesn't hit anybody. Here comes the curtain call. Shots are not landing on this one as Sheer will stand still and be able to block for Milky Way. But over on the side, we've got Kael off in no man's land, and he gets shockwaved to death. And now Sheer gets caught up in the errors that are ongoing. See, it's tagged with a bailout. Won't go down. But AL pick up another kill, and they will retreat to the Herald.
Care? Hello? Knock knock, is anyone home? Like, I'm just so confused as to what the idea was there. I get that he's looking for a flank angle, but it was over. Like, this was not the situation to try to put your life on the line, and that is a very big mistake. Not only is it gold going into the pocket of AL, it's free Rift Herald going over to them as well, and with Dragon spawning in 1 minute, it puts them in a great spot to set up for that. In the same vein, we saw the gigantic CS lead Shanks already had been accumulating over Kael in the mid lane. That is only going to get worse and a little bit stronger as Shanks is able to farm up down here on the bot lane. That could be a pretty massive mistake that opens up the game. 1.3k gold lead for Shanks.
Let's take a look at this replay here as Milky Way is going to go right on Kael, and they're just going to swap places.
Yes, it's a very funny interaction.
Classic Urgot ultimate.
Yes, yes, the classic Urgot ult, indeed.
Hyperkinetic position reverser. What is bro? What happened?
He is actively walking into 4 members of the enemy team. I think Kael's also
favorite part. You know what my favorite part about this is? We're like, all right, Milky Way ultimate, Kael, gonna steal an ultimate. We're gonna see a hostile takeover, and this is how FPX is gonna win fight. Milky Way's first ultimate. Sheer dies before he even lands. Jwei's first ultimate hits absolutely nobody. Kael's first ultimate, he steals the Rakan 1v4. Like, it's so comical. That's like, these are the things that FPX needs to execute on. And it's just literally the absolute worst scenarios that I wouldn't even see in my Emerald games. Maybe the Pantheon one. But.
yeah, maybe the lack of a Pantheon ultimate. I think that actually is pretty accurate for the Elo. But maybe the kill drought has been broken. Sheer forced off the tower here, and We're going to see AL at the very least pressuring down on this bot lane tier 1. This will be taken with the grubs. Really no contest available. Mountain Dragon is available as well, so this is likely just a free transition up there. Kael trying to at least do something to equalize this on the top side of the map, but once again, a very nice play made here by anyone's legend, being able to force Sheer away, using the numbers advantage on the strong side to be able to secure the objective and pushing the game forward. These aren't exactly the flashiest plays in the world, but these are the clinical ones, and quite frankly, these are the ones AL was making before whatever mental boom they had, so it is encouraging to see that.
Yeah, you know, is a lot of it impotence on the side of FPX, yes. However, AL is playing the game in a very controlled manner, especially with that fits well with what their comp wants to do. You've got the aggressiveness in Flandre and Tarzan. Look at them. They've got a kill, 2 assists on the side of Tarzan, and the control aspect of your composition with Shanks, Hope, and Kael doing their thing. So AL are happy to kind of steady the course here. They just need to make sure, again, that they begin to convert this lead, and they're doing so through the dragon takes. You know, it'll be at least another almost 10 minutes, though, before AL can secure a soul, if they even get the next dragon, right? And that does allow time for Kael and Sheer to be very, very big.
It's actually a really good shout out, you know, as much as we like to talk about, you know, dragons being really good to stack for AL, because they absolutely are. It does just buy a bit more time for FPX to get into those power spikes that you mentioned, but once again, we're going to be looking at Milky Way to see where the plays are going to be made on this Pantheon, if the plays are going to be made on this Pantheon. I think the next couple of minutes are going to determine a lot. Otacon spawning in 5 seconds. It will be on the bottom side of the map, which I think is important to talk about, because that means that that overload that had been set up by AL actually proves fruitful in multiple ways. That vision coverage they were able to establish really impacts their ability to fight over this second objective in the same vein. So, you know, it's a really nice setup overall. Tarzan going to be hovering around the area just to make sure that he's in as good of a spot as possible. And, you know, with Kael being so slippery on this recon, forcing the flash out of Jwei, it's even more difficult for FPX to walk up.
And you can see, like, Milky Way wants to do something. He walked up very quickly, looked like he was maybe going to go on Kael, saw the Orianna was there, noped right the heck out. And we're at 20 minutes, and at 20 and a half minutes, Kman, and this Pantheon has not done anything. 0, 0, 0. 0, 0, 0. Like, this is not good, bro. This is not what you want. And Milky Way definitely looks like this is his first game on Pantheon.
Yeah, not looking too comfortable. I'm not going to lie. It doesn't really look like he understands the ins and outs of the champ, and I think that really is coming into play. And for that to be the pick against AL, the defending champs in Game 3, you know, it even calls that into question at this point, despite how strong people think the Pantheon is. But at this point, Kael, no tower to protect him, is just going to be able to escape.
All right.
Tarzan's going to prioritize the Otacon over potentially a Silas that might be worth less gold. So they're going to start it up. Jack's still split pushing top, but this has to be a contest here from FPX.
Well, Milky Way going to go in and clear out some of this vision, and they just have no idea that this is going on, man.
Uh-oh.
And if they do, they have just decided to abandon hope. Otacon secured, getting the robot Tarzan as he's going to go drop.
Oh!
Take this man's license away. Take it away right now. This man does not deserve to drive.
Yeah, honestly, I'm not sure I can call Tarzan the king of the jungle after that.
Honestly, bro, that's going to be me in a couple hours when I got to take my dad to the airport because I didn't get enough sleep.
Well, you know, thankfully it was a large rock wall, I guess.
Oh, thankfully. Yeah, if my Toyota Camry goes into that, we're going to have problems.
Well, 07, you know, wish you the best.
07.
I think, you know, hopefully Tarzan's not the Uber that is coming back after, but you know, I think you're making the one-way trip to the airport. I'm not sure the round trip is going to be completed, so
well, I am going to
Uber
Philadelphia,
on the way
so
back.
you know, it might be an accident or it might not be. I don't know.
Okay, you know, transitioning to the game, I guess.
What? There's nothing happening, Kman. What are we transitioning to?
Are you
We're
kidding
waiting
me?
for a minute until this dragon is up.
Flandre is queuing the wave. He's shoving it into Kael.
My bad,
And there
my
is a degree of separation between these teams that is so small that you can't really see it in the major plays. These minor moments are actually what determines everything here.
Flandre has picked up the bot wave. Will it make the difference?
I hope we're tweeting that out right now. That's definitely a socials play right there. But
shout out Liga Ace. If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. But
25 seconds. I hate this. I really hate this. I really hate this because, like, I do not like bullying players. Pro players are very good at this game. Milky Way is a good player. I just don't know what's going on. Is he a good player in relation to, like, what's been going on lately? No. Has he been playing well? No. Is he objectively, like, a good League of Legends player? Like, very talented? Like, yes.
Absolutely.
But I just don't know what's happening here. All I know is that FPX have finally decided to make a snap decision. They have started up this dragon. Anyone's Legend looking to make their way in. Ball is only on the Orianna right now, looking to scout out Sheer. Down to 3,000 HP is this dragon. It's going to look for a little bit of a fight, and it's secured by Tarzan. And they're going to turn all the way onto Kael. Kael stuck in the back of the pit, and Flandre is a really big croc. He's going to go real evil for a second, but he's still back there, still doing his thing. Shockwave lands onto 2. Milky Way going to be the target, but Sheer with a big counter strike on the back line. Now the question is, can he get his team back into the fight? The handshake is there, but Sheer will fall regardless. JiaQi stuck in the back of the pit. He's dead too. And Milky Way's second career ultimate will get him the heck out of Dodge.
Just barely.
Oh yeah, and Jwei's dead, by the way.
It's not even over. Jwei is dead here.
Yeah.
It's going to catch him.
We don't need to talk about that. He's dead.
He will be taken down here by the Jin. The FPX, the old FPX logo flashed by Jwei for wasting as much time as he can. Kind of an interesting fight to break down. I really do hope we get a replay. I imagine we will. Not a lot to replay over throughout this game so far, so excited to kind of break that down. But overall, a really slow, methodical fight that ends up just being really in favor of AL because of the lack of damage coming out from FPX. You can't get any of the critical threats into good spots, and now Kael could be in a bit of danger. Does get stunned up over and over again under tower, but will eventually get out of that. Shanks taking top tower as well.
Yeah, now things are starting to really fall apart here for FPX as AL have realized that they can win the game by simply just waiting for FPX to make mistakes and doing nothing. Take a look at this replay as Kael immediately missed. God, that's so tough, bro.
Flashes in to try and get on top of Tarzan. Immediately ults Tarzan into the middle of the rest of his team, where he then does a bunch of damage, dashes back over the wall. Not really an ideal set of circumstances, but everything else happening in this fight is actually rather interesting. You do see a lot of nice play coming in from Shanks on the Orianna in terms of just how much damage he's doing. Sheer tries to go for the hero play, but at this point there's no follow-up. Milky Way is out of health. JiaQi can't really play on the Xayah because he's already burned the ultimate, and so any aggression is just going to be countered. Just doesn't really end up happening. Unfortunately, maybe Kael hitting a skill shot in that fight could have changed some things, but even then, I think the setup itself was rather poor, and AL once again coming out on top after what is completely a 50-50 for that dragon.
Yep, Tarzan securing it, and I think that's the nail in the coffin for FPX, especially the way that fight went. JiaQi on 3 items now, was able to pick up the Mortal Reminder for a little bit of heal cut on that Renekton, and sort of try to nullify that Sundered Sky over on the side of Tarzan. I mean, this gold lead isn't insurmountable, Kman. The problem is you just, like, this Pantheon has no use in this game right now except for being a stun bot. Kael isn't playing particularly well and isn't where he needs to be. Sheer at least had a nice play in that fight. It's just a shame that nobody could follow up. Maybe he can get really, really strong, but even he's only on 2 items right now.
It's tough. I mean, the Jax is in a good spot. I do think that there is an avenue for him to either continue to pressure side lanes and delay the game enough to be able to get everyone else online, or alternatively find a nice, jump into the backline. We saw it in that fight. It just came way too late in terms of how things happen. Sheer is going to be able to take down this bot tier 1. No pressure coming from elsewhere, but Baron is the dance at this moment. Kael going to try to get as much vision as he can because he thinks he's the safest of the entire team, but at this point, I'm kind of convinced that Milky Way is going for the 0-0 and 0 Pantheon game. We will see how that ends up working out. We need to see him get involved. If he's got to go in and die,
baby.
he's got to figure it out.
We call him the Tony Snell. If you know, you know. It looks like Kman knows, and you know what? AL knows. They knows we got to do the Baron, and FPX also knows because Shanks was standing on a ward. FPX makes their way over as they will. AL will pull off the Baron. Kael gonna burn this ghost, looking to get on top of Kael. Got the exhaust too. He's rooted up. He's shockwaved. He's standing still because he can't move anywhere. And Hope will get the kill, his third of the game. Should be all clear for AL to do their thing.
It's gonna look pretty bad for Kael in terms of just the overall picture, but I do understand, like, someone has to check this Baron. Someone has to make sure that it's not being taken, and it's not gonna be Jwei, it's not gonna be JiaQi, and Milky Way's not stepping up, so fortunately it falls on Kael, and he ends up getting taken down, but FPX now feel the pressure.
Let's do it. Baron is up. See, JiaQi just gets jumped on, and he's going to bleed out in the river. Jwei's going to be the next target. Hostile takeover. It only hit Flandre, and it's just over, man. It's just game over, man. Game over. Sheer is just desperately trying to run away, but even he has run out of bandwidth, run out of space, and run out of health. The soul up in 2 seconds. Kman, it doesn't matter what AL does from here. There is no bad decision.
Yeah, I don't think there's any part of this that is not in favor of anyone's legend at this point. We questioned them after game number 1. We questioned them at the beginning of game number 2, but they end up closing out that second game by staying patient. Oh, Milky Way. Oh, no way. He's going to go for it. Oh, no way he's going to go for it. He's going for it.
You got to do it.
He's too late.
Oh, all right. Listen, he tried. He tried.
He did try, and unfortunately, that will be his first career kill, death, or assist on Pantheon.
He ruined his perfect KDA.
His perfect Pantheon KDA is gone. And unfortunately, that I think kind of seals the nail in the coffin. We do see the teleport, you know, coming in on this play. But I think for the most part, it's just JiaQi being sandwiched in between Tarzan and Flandre. And this fight is over. At this point, there is no way to play.
That's the most 80 carry thing in the world, bro. You just sit here like, all right. You kind of just like take your hands off the keyboard and you're just like, oh, I'm going to go sip my water now or whatever drink of choice I brought to the game because there's nothing better that I could do. Oh, call out summoners? Hell no. Why would I call out summoners, bro? It just don't matter at that point. 30 minutes into the game. Soul secured for AL. 10 kills to nothing. Looking for a complete game shutout, at least in score. Couple of turrets went the way of FPX, but that's all right.
Yeah, not quite the perfect game, but the no-hitter, I think, will suffice if they can land it. We will see.
No, this isn't a no-hitter. They've 3 hits for those turrets.
Yeah,
it's tough. It's really bad.
So we can look and see what the plan is going to be here for AL. They're just getting the mid inhibitor here by pushing in both of these lanes. This is what you can do when you have so much lane clear prio, but Kael at this point has to make a decision. Right. He goes in.
All right, they go after Tarzan, but Kael gets knocked back in. He's got to go golden. Here's the hostile takeover. Hits multiple members here. They're trying to make a play, but Flandre is just way too big. Kael is so low. He's trying to get away from Flandre, and he goes back in. And just immediately gets called. Here's the last shot. Lands perfectly. It's a triple kill from Flandre. Mercifully, AL will finally end the game. It took 31.5 minutes. 15 kills to nothing. AL, they're not back. I am not calling them back, bro. I can't do it.
I don't know, man. They just shut out. They just shut out FPX. That's what we wanted to see, right? Look at the scoreboard.
Actually, yeah, that's the worst part. We wanted to see them play a clean game. And it's just like, they did play very clean this game. But like...
I'm with you, Yanni. Honestly, you're speechless. You're exasperated. There's no words to describe the emotions.
Even if I wasn't as tired as I am right now, like I still would not have like proper words for this, bro. Like this was.
It was something.
That
I can definitely agree with you.
This was one of the games of all time. Occasionally in the LPL, we get games like this, where it's just one of the games of all time.
Yes.
You know, congratulations to AL. They won a game on red side.
And they needed it, man. They really needed it. Instead of 2 and 4, or 2 and 5, we're sitting at 3 and 4. Certainly a bit of a different conversation surrounding that.
Yeah, a little better.
You know, technically, like top 4, it's really not out of the realm of possibility.
Oh, God,
we know
bro.
that Invictus and Weibo
They should not
Gaming,
be thinking about top 4 right now, bro.
Hey, they're sitting in 5th place. That's the only way to go up from here.
I think I'm going to be ill.
You just gotta learn to love it here in the LPL.
I feel so bad saying that too. Like AL, it's like this is I don't know what happened to them. Maybe Who knows? Maybe they'll wake up tomorrow and be like, guys, we're back. We're ready to go. I don't know. I don't see it. They need to really fix whatever the heck they have going on there. They did not win this game. FPX lost this game.
I think that is definitely true. I think, honestly, I'll give them a bit more credit. I think both can be true here. I think FPX was slow and indecisive. They never utilized any of their big cooldowns to be able to capitalize on what is essentially a comp that needs to have some sort of pressure in the early game, even if they are going to be losing in their solo lanes. But at the same time, credit to anyone's legend for capitalizing when they did see some mistakes. They didn't want to overforce in situations against a Jax or against, you know, a potential Silas that could really turn things in a bad situation. They wanted to make sure that whatever they went for was confirmed, and they did so. It was not aesthetically pleasing League of Legends, but it certainly was effective, and they end up taking the series because of it.
Kman, I'm scrolling through, I'm just, you know, looking at Twitch chat, and Witch Hunter 1 brought up a good point. I'm very interested to see if you agree. This version of AL will lose to EDG. Your thoughts? That's a big
Xiaohao revenge game.
Shout out Witch Hunter 1. Because
you're really tugging at my heartstrings.
Kman loves EDG. And loves Xiaohao specifically.
Oh, you're really tugging at the heartstrings.
That team is real good.
They are. I mean, I don't know. I can't.
I don't know if
he
can out jungle Tarzan. I don't know if he can out jungle Tarzan.
Well, we saw last year who we'd rather have between Xiaohao and Tarzan, and Weibo Gaming made that choice very clear with Tarzan coming into the summer split and them going to the World semifinals. So, you know, I'm pretty sure Tarzan ends up, you know, being pretty good in that instance. But, you know, you're pitting like two of my favorite players against me. That seems almost unfair.
It just feels like it's like Hydrogen Bomb versus Coughing Baby, to be honest with you. But no offense to Xiaohao, but like compared to Tarzan, he is Coughing Baby.
Yes.
Even Summer Xiaohao is Coughing Baby. All right, Kman, who do we give an MVP to this game, bro?
Oh, boy.
Can we give the MVP to FPX?
I think the MVP was Kael, if we're being direct on that. But, you know, if I've got to pick someone else, if I've got to go in a different direction, you know, I think Tarzan was really good throughout this entire series. I think that there were a lot of zones of control where he played really effectively in this game. But the damage coming out from Shanks, I thought, was really relevant. That was probably the most influential, you know, bit of the team throughout this. I think the Orianna shockwaves were huge. And, you know, outside of that, Flandre was really solid on the Renekton, was able to generate a big lead early in his lane as well. So
he's the first one I
think
think
a lot of
of.
different directions.
Flandre's the first one I think of, and you know, maybe it was just because he got the triple kill at the end of the game, and like it's easy to just have that fresh in your mind. I mean, second most damage. He was a part of that early kill that kicked off the slowest, honestly paced game ever. I don't really know who to give it to, man. I mean, Shanks didn't really have any of those like wow shockwaves. Does Tarzan get it? I don't know.
It's tough.
Honestly,
I think
bro,
this was a team win if you want to categorize it like that
honestly,
for anyone's
bro,
legend.
Honestly, bro, whatever they vote for, I'll deem it ethical. I can't.
All five are ethical, as it would seem.
All five are ethical in this game.
Excellent.
I don't really think there's a way out of it.
I mean, one of the big highlights here is this interaction between Pantheon and Rakan, where they got ult each other.
That was fun. That was very fun.
Yes, very, very fun. I think in general there were some fights that were pretty intriguing to watch throughout this. But
this was not one of them.
There is no way to explain to me what happened there with Kael just walking into 4 members and instantly dying. That was certainly a play, and I don't mean to rag on the guy, but another unfortunate example of most skill shots going wide in this team fight as well, where you know, the damage isn't there for FPX. They're not able to break through the front line and the core pieces of, you know, what AL had set up, and that's the biggest problem. When fights are allowed to go this long for a team like AL that have Rakan with multiple knockups, Orianna shields, even Jin, if he's allowed to, you know, just sit in the backline and pump out damage, let the curtain call, you know, go, like, they're eventually going to be able to win these, and I think, you know, credit to AL for their setups and their positioning to make that work. Here is the 80 carries worst nightmare.
Bro,
getting sandwiched between a Zinjao and a Crocodile.
I'm physically ill from that as an 80 carry player. It's just like, oh man, like you just know you're dead to rights. The bailout. When the bailout's not even enough to save you, it's the worst feeling in the world. You just slowly see your health go down. They're like 75% HP. You know there's no way they
Oh,
they
no, they didn't zoom into that. Oh, no.
They did, bro.
Oh, no. This is absolutely disrespectful.
Hey, he hit one! Oh, wait, no. Oh, no.
No, he's about to hit another one.
Oh,
Watch.
no. Oh, look at how much HP Hope lived on.
Ugh.
Hope lived on 100 HP. It would have been FPX's only kill.
Yeah, the scoreless game stays intact from Hope's 100 HP survival at the end of the game. Truly tragic. But you know what? It gives us a storyline. You know, it probably feels bad for FPX fans, but I'm sure AL are going to be happy to walk away with it.
Yeah, it gives us, you know, listen, it was entertaining in its own way. I just can't believe that the AL FPX series was objectively worse than the Ultra Prime LNG series. That series was really, really awesome. Before we get to our MVP, we're going to go take a look at our standings real quick because we do have them updated. And with these changes, this means that Ultra Prime now sitting in 4th place as they have the same game differential, but they have one more individual win than Thunder Talk. Tarzan was our MVP. Congratulations, Tarzan. Again, ethical. Not really much to say. Let's go back to the standings. Thank you very much.
Oh, we're back to
We're going back to us instead of standings. Let's do standings, please. I just want to go look at the standings, bro. Because you got me talking about the standings, and now we got to do the standings. So anyway, Ultra Prime has one more individual game win, even though they've got the same differential. That puts them in 4th place, and with AL's win, that puts them to 3 and 4, puts them just ahead of JDG, and just below Weibo Gaming. So still in striking distance despite the rough start. And this does mean that with this win, AL does still have time to figure this out.
Yeah, some time for AL to at least, you know, breathe at the very least. I think one little conversation from today is that a team that won a best of 5 against the undefeated Billy Gaming in Group Ascend is now on pace to miss plans in terms of how things are going with Thunder Talk.
Weird.
Down at the bottom of the bracket. It's just been a crazy year in the LPL. You've got our defending champs sitting below 500. You've got a team that was in playoffs and was borderline top, you know, 8 in the winter split and split 1, you know, not even in the top 12 in the LPL. So much is happening. It's been a chaotic year, and I, for one, am all for it.
Yeah, especially getting down to the wire. You know, we're getting around Worlds time. It's always exciting to see how these things shake out. And, you know, we got some more games tomorrow on the docket for people. WE and BLG will be the first one. It's a triple game Saturday. I will be on the cast with Bloxer. And then after that, we got Weibo and Top Esports. That'll be Alk and Rafa. And then they will also be doing JDG and IG. So we'll see if JDG can find a return to some sort of form or just look much better than they were. We'll see if Weibo Gaming can maybe sneak a game off the Top Esports. And we'll see if Team WE can ruin BLG's perfect honeymoon. Kman, you got any interesting thoughts about this slate of games tomorrow?
Always excited to see some teams that are maybe considered inconsistent or flippy generally by the community go toe-to-toe. So Weibo and Top Esports are always, you know, a joy to watch because one of them is going to play great and one of them will not. And you just never know which one it's going to be. Excited to see WE BLG because we've got that one back-to-back 2 days in a row. We're getting round 1 of it tomorrow. And then obviously round 2 of it will be on Sunday. So excited to see how that ends up breaking down in part 1. Yes, I do have that second one. So excited to see how that breaks down.
Yeah, that should be a really fun one. And before we go, we would like to give a big shout out and a big thank you to our Elite Coffee supporters, Aaron Soup, Mung, Forest Without, and owners of a Silmaril. Their pledged financial contributions help us level up the broadcast and give back to the casting crew. Strive to give you an English LPL product every single day. And we do mean every single day because tomorrow, starting at 3 a.m. Eastern, and whatever time zone you're in, you can figure it out. Team WE, BLG to kick off the day, as we just said. We will see you there. Have a great day, everybody.